What's happening, everybody? I am Tommy, and you are on the lifeboat. Before we get rolling, because we're going to, I got a lot of cool stuff that I want to talk about tonight. You know how every once in a while, if you're just going live and you get the breaking news, Sean P. Diddy Combs has been taken into custody. The day we have been waiting on, apparently, is today. He has been arrested in New York. So he, for all of those who emailed me and worried that he would get out of the country, that did not happen. He was arrested today by the federals, and people, if you knew the conviction rate in the feds, honestly, look it up. It varies from year to year, but it's usually somewhere between 97 and 99%. Everybody that tangles with the feds loses. He was trying to sell everything in sight. I think they probably had a pretty good idea that this was coming. Mara, good to see you. Rose K, what's happening? Kristen Melinda, good to see you. Goosebumps. Jason P. Linda the Garden Lady, hey, how are you? Hey, Debbie P. Incarna Soul. Allison Metcalf Palumbo. Dee Dee Razzle Dazzle. Hey, Storm. Swedish Lena, good to see you. Sweet Liberty, what's happening? Angie Barnes. V. McWilliams. Helena, Flock of Swan Boats. It is good to see you. Kristen Melinda, glad you're here. Gemini, how are you? Ivy's mom, Sarah Bowman. Tampa B. I heard you say something about your husband. Tell him I said hello. Barbie, good to see you. Nat B from Canada. Always happy to have you here. Joanne Ventrilla, good to see you. Miss G. Wilford Henry, Portland, SP supporter. All right. Yarn Prepper, how you been? Good to see you. Lacey Silver's here. Sherry LeBron, what's happening? Rick, I'm gonna have to back that one up. What is that? Rick from Oz. Boy, we got a lot of you. Welcome to the boat. Let's put you up there. From cult to living freely, you gotta love that. Glad they finally picked him up. You know what? You and me both, my friend. That's gonna make my night. I am Eileen. Hey, how are you? Actually, maybe it'd be chilly, but that's okay. It still worked the tune. Kim is Blue. Good to see you. Deanna Downey, what's happening? Hey, Rick Spicer. How are you? Armine, glad you're here. Shannon Smith is here, and so is Cricket. Boy, we've got them all. Anna, Layla. I am so sorry to hear that. I'm just back from my cousin's funeral. Heartbreaking day. I'm exhausted. I was an overdose at 42 is such a painful way to lose someone. We tried so hard to help him. I'm glad to be with you all. I am so sorry. That is so painful, right? Really doesn't matter what side of the pond we're on. This is an epidemic all over the entire world. And I'm so sorry, Layla. Sadly, that seems to be the power band, right? I mean, if you're between the ages of 18 and 55 and you're walking this planet anywhere civilized, you have a better chance of dying of a drug overdose than any other type of death. The number one cause of death, horrific, but it's where we're at. And the one thing, and right now, this isn't going to mean anything, I promise. It's almost just words. Right? It's blah, blah. And I apologize for that, but I got to say it anyway. The truth of the matter is no one can stop someone from that path, right? I don't stop anybody from that path. I've never stopped anybody from that path. We sure as shit try, right? We do everything we can to throw up all of the right signs in front of the person and to try to illuminate a better path. People don't always take it. And when they don't, it's a natural thing to think, what if I had done? And the truth is one of my favorite expressions since I started doing the life, just really sinks in, is that when the student is ready, then the teacher sort of magically appears, right? But if the student's never ready, it doesn't matter if you got Einstein in the room trying to teach, right? It's just not going to happen. And fortunately, right, I think the world's waking up a little bit. And I'm sorry that so many of us have lost so many people that we love in the meantime. But it is affecting the entire world. There, at this point, no one hasn't been touched by this, doesn't know somebody or doesn't know many people that have passed. I'm so sorry, Layla. I really am. Barbie Hall, good to see you. Thoughts and prayers for Layla and her family, please. Jamie Palmer, good to see you. Carnisol, how are you? Glad to see you. Kim Roy, how are you? Chrissy Akers, Mayor's Girl. How am I? I'll tell you what, I'm having the best day I've had in a long time. I am having the best day that I've had in a very long time. Diane B., good to see you. Yeah, this is really solid, actually. I heard that the feds don't try cases if they think they are going to lose them. They like making sure that they have a winnable case. They like to make sure that they have a slam dunk case. And this is something that you got to think of real quick, right? Truth be told, who are you fighting? When it's the most frightening thing in the world as a criminal, take my word for this. When you get your indictments, right? If you get it in the state and it says, your name and this, when you get one in the feds, it says the United States of America versus your name, right? And it's just the weight of that really doesn't sink in until you start seeing exactly how it goes down. Because like when they were investigating the bank robbery stuff, there was a person that they were looking for who may have had information or whatever, and she disappeared in the wind, and we were all like, fantastic, right? She's gone. But the FBI is in every single state, right, in the US. So for all intents and purposes, you're fighting the largest law firm in America. There are more lawyers in the Department of Justice than anywhere else. So you're fighting the nation's biggest law firm and the nation's largest private investigative firm, right? The Federal Bureau of Investigation. We were trying to get this girl, and hopefully you try to get to her first. So the first questions that you ask kind of, sort of lean things in your favor, hopefully. And we hired people that were trying to track this girl down. And once they caught wind of it, it took them about 15 minutes. And they had her in a room in Oklahoma sitting across from somebody in the FBI getting interrogated. Shelly Kelly, good to see you. Hey, Mara. Tampa B. Let's get the party started. Why, thank you. I appreciate you. Marie, good to see you. Yeah, that'll get him going right from Jump Street, Tampa Bay. I like it. Apparently they're really into it these days. I don't go over. I swear to you, I don't. It's way more fun to just do what I do, and I love this gig. I could not be any happier than I am sitting in front of this screen. And I mean, admittedly, I am on a bit of a roller coaster. I look for now. Good to see you. In that, I'm learning how to cope with some new, a new normal, so to speak. Right. But I would rather be doing it here and sharing it with everybody than be doing it any other place. And that's the truth. So, and we're going to revisit this low life. I promise there's going to be a lot of talk. SMB, there's going to be a lot of talk here in the next couple of days for sure. Maybe even later tonight. I'll do a Diddy update. Robert Hall, good to see you. Alex Moore, what's happening? Anna Banana, good to see you. Or we'll finish it up later on tonight. But you know what? It's not what I put the thumbnail up for, right? Hey, Crafty Witch, this is just one of those things that popped up literally at the last moment right before I went live. Gina Marie, good to see you. This is, for my money, way more important. For a very long time now, we've been fighting. And from Mass, good to see you. For a very long time now, we've been fighting to try to get my boy into court. Lori Hart, Kim, Alex Moore, we want Q back in court. And it is an uphill battle at best. We've been doing this now since 2020. About November of 2020, I started the process of trying to get some legal minds. So instead of just him sitting in a law library, we got some people that went to school for this. Q's a smart guy, but attorneys and paralegals do this crap for a living. And I'm not trying to say anything that's disrespectful or anything else, but the way the system is stacked. Hey, Amy Edge, April, good to see you. V. McWilliams, what's happening? The way they stack the deck on this, you have to look for an angle. You really have to. The goal is to get back in court so that you can start to address stuff. You can't really address squat if you can't get back in court. And here's where the problem lies. In the federal system, you get one shot and one shot only. So you get convicted and you get sentenced, right? And what ends up happening is the process in the feds differs slightly than it does in the state. Hold on one second. Boy, am I on a roll tonight. Replay crew here, caught Reese and you in one go. I'm not sure I can handle all of the excitement. Well, I'll tell you something. We're pretty happy that you're here. Really, we are. Once you get sentenced in the feds, you have an opportunity to appeal, and there's a very short window of time that you have to get your appeal in, right? But you can only do it once, right? So let's say you get sent up on a conviction, and then some new evidence comes out a couple of years later that might be able to exonerate you. If you've already used your one get out of jail free, your attempt at an appeal, they will not give you another one. And I know that you probably are thinking to yourself, there's no way that's true, right? I guarantee you, bunches of you are going to go, there's no way that's true. Research it. Research it. You get one shot at an appeal in the feds, man. And when that shot is up, it takes an act of God to get you back into court. The act of God that gets most people back into court is what is called ineffective counsel, right? What you're saying is that first group of lawyers that represented me sucked so bad, or they mishandled this so much, right, that I need an opportunity to get back into court so that I can try to explain my situation. And basically, whatever your argument's going to be, you got to get past that gatekeeper, which is the 2350 something motion, right? That's the appeal in the feds. And from Mass, Cheeky, what's happening? You have got to be able to do that. And sadly, for lots of people who are in the exact same shoes as my mentor Q, once you used up that shot, you're not getting back. And Q's not innocent. If you're new to the lifeboat, this is the gentleman who helped me find a way to get sober after a lifetime of trying and failing. Carry on. Good to see you. Candy's Life. How are you? Miss Sunrise Dawn, Dennis from Boston. We've got the crew. This really was the guy that saved my life. There's no other way to put it. We call him Q. Catalina, good to see you. He's got a name that's slightly larger, but he likes to go by Q. And he's been recovering from a transient ischemic attack, a transient, actually a full blown stroke, but an ischemic stroke, not a hemorrhagic stroke. The point is, for the last, I don't know how many years, since November of 2020, we have tried unsuccessfully to chip away at trying to get back in. What you do is you file that you believe there was ineffective counsel because of this, and this, and if that doesn't fly, you wait, you take another shot. It's an arduous, tough process. Tony Suter, good to see you. Martha, what's happening? Glad you caught one live. Martha, good to see you. This is, and we've just been trying to get the foot in the door, so to speak. And today I got a phone call from the paralegal, and this person didn't start off with us back in the beginning. This person joined the team when I was filing to get off federal paper. Right, I had done half of the amount of time I was supposed to do on federal probation, but because I never got in any kind of trouble. I didn't fail any drug tests. I didn't miss any payments. I didn't not show up at places anything they told me to do, I did. So when you do it all right for enough period of time, they like to get you off the paper. It doesn't make any, doesn't help anyone, right? They just assume kick you off. And that's what we were shooting for. And I hired an attorney to help me out with it. And as I was telling her the story, of the lifeboat and of me and all that for the case, she was like, "What's up with Q? Where's he at?" Tribe Called Duff, good to see you. Lolo, how are you? So all of a sudden, I'm handing information over to her, and I reached out to Q and I said, "Hey, can we add this? One more person? You sign some papers. This person wants to help." And this was a paralegal. The paralegal, not an attorney, but a paralegal, wrote the ineffective counsel motion that that they served the court with. Kenya, good to see you. And when she brought it to the attorneys that have to, sign their name to it because paralegals can't, do that stuff. They said, yeah, this is perfect. I wouldn't change a word. And apparently it was, because we have. Now, this doesn't mean that my friend's getting out of prison, you understand. What this means is we can get our foot in the door to actually talk to the people at the, he has his day in court, so to speak. And now we have the ability to go in there and plead the case for a sentence modification. Right? He's not innocent. He's guilty of what he did. He just hasn't done a damn thing wrong since. And he has lived an exemplary life. Every single place he goes, he does everything he can to make the place better. And he does it successfully. And I'm telling you, if you've ever done time, it is almost impossible to get through a sentence without getting some kind of trouble. Because all it takes, you have to realize that the people who babysit you have complete unfettered, they can do whatever the hell they want, whenever they want. So if they don't like you, and they don't like the way you look, or you did something in the day room, whatever, all they got to do is go, I'm writing them up. I'm writing them up. And now your unblemished record, you get a stupid write-up for something that, was pointless. Dumb stuff, cardboard in your cell. The stuff they can write you up for is amazing. But this cat's, 35 years in without a write-up. He's been working for Unicor for 3 decades, has kept the job for 3 decades. And I promise you they'd like to fire him. They're paying him more money than anybody in there, for real, because the longer you work without ever losing your job, you accrue this bonus pay for each year that you've successfully completed. That dude's making the kind of money that an entry-level guy on the street might make. I'm not kidding. Like, he makes dollars an hour. I was making 17 cents when I started. So glad, so glad they nabbed P. Diddy. He isn't the only billionaire on my last nerve. I can think of a couple more that need to be checked too. I'll tell you something. Here's something that's an interesting thought, right? Here's something that's an interesting thought. Hey, Narcoleptic Chihuahua, good to see you. Glad that you're here. Hey, Mary, a Brewsty. The major federal prisons are privately owned, and to keep paying their investors, they must keep the cells full. I don't really want to, be a jerk or come off as a know-it-all or anything like that nature, but I spent an awful lot of time in the federal system, and there are 2 of the 130 prisons in the feds that are private prisons. The rest of them are all facilities that are DOJ. They're all run by the Department of Justice. Now, within some of those prisons is the Unicor system, where inmates work for slave labor, basically. And they work on things that have really high profit margins. For real, like, this is things like every uniform in the military is made in our prisons. And the guys making it, for the most part, aren't breaking, 30 cents an hour. Imagine being somebody in the US trying to compete with anybody making a military uniform, where you got to hire somebody and pay them, $15 to $17 an hour. This is actually pretty skilled labor. These are guys working on sewing machines that are pretty complex. So you're probably really paying them 25, maybe 30 bucks an hour. Takes about 8 guys per line, right? And in our factory, we would have 9 lines going, right? Just cranking them out 13 hours a day and paying people nothing for it. That really is the thing. But the private prisons and the feds have been stomped out, except for Dublin in California and the transfer station in Nevada. Where did the Pahrump, Nevada, has a transfer station that is owned by CCA, which is a private prison company. CCA also is the company that's running the Dublin facility. But those are the only 2. Any anticipated date for a court date? You know what, Jay Rambo? They actually told me what the court date was set for, but I was losing my you-know-what when I got that call. Like, for real, I was losing it. I was jumping up and down, and I was, punching the air. And what you got to realize is that the people who are giving me the good news, to give it to Q, they're typing this into a computer that has to go through core links. right, system. So it goes in there and theoretically somebody's reading it. I don't know whether it's done by a computer or what the deal is, honestly, because the feds are really strange. People listen to your phone calls for real in real time. They do. But I don't know exactly how they do it, but it causes about a 3-hour delay from the time you send the email to the time the email gets to the inmate's computer. So it just happened to be one of those days that by the time they sent that, so it was going to be a 3-hour window. This was the day that Q was calling me. So I actually got to drop this news on him, which was really the most fun I've had in a really long time. He's a really L-Train, good to see you. He's a really, really intelligent guy. In a lot of ways, I think he's a lot sharper than I am. Susan Ward, good to see you. Cinderella's glass slipper. But he's been in for a really long time, and that has an effect, right? And when I got out of prison and I said I would like to start the process of trying to get some legal help, some real legal help, his first response was, no, I don't want you to do it. Susan Ward, hello. Did I already say that? I'm not sure if I did. Hey, relatable Reese. I know, right? Reese was one of the first phone calls that I made to tell this, and I've just been bouncing off the wall. I think actually both of us were. I think she's probably grooving pretty hard to how hard I am as well. This really and honestly would be the right thing, but so when he called me on the phone, I go, hey, you know what? I got really good news, and he's working really hard on his speech, right? He's been struggling to get that back, and he's better than he was. He really is a lot better than he was. He also still has a long way to go, but he was asking questions, and I was probably not being the kindest, but I was like, dude, you got to slow down. I can't understand what you're saying. And what he was repeating was, tell me I'm going to kill you. But he really did not want me to do this. And the reason was he didn't want to get excited about this. I think really, Renee B, good to see you. Hey, Karen Pooley, good to see you. Excuse me. I think he just didn't want to get his hopes up in any way, right? Hey, Nick, what's happening, man? I think he was, you get excited about something like that, and then it falls through, and it's got to be the most painful thing in the world. Every time I got locked up, I knew I had a date. I had an out date, even if that date was a long time away, and it was one of those things that really kind of floors you. You still got an out date, and man is amazing. Human beings can take anything you throw at them. Providing they know how long it's going to get thrown at them, they can get through literally anything. But what will drive somebody insane is not knowing how long that kind of torture is going to last. And this is going to sound awful, but it's just the truth. He's a lot sharper than 90% of the people that he's going to be coming in contact with for the last 37 years or whatever of his life, right? He has been a guy that has just wanted to do the right thing for the last 37 years. During that time, 90% of the people around him have absolutely no desire to do the right thing. They are planning their next crime, right? Waiting to get out. He told me in several conversations, he said, there are people in here that I have seen leave and come back and leave and come back and leave, right? Do it 3 or 4 times. They call it life on the installment plan. Tampa B, well, we'll give Sophie a big hug for me. She is one of the kindest people, I'm telling you. Sophie she's somebody I could sit and talk to for hours. Really, really a sweet human being. Caroline, good to see you. Horton Thistle, what's happening? And of course, the apple did not fall far from the tree. She's also absolutely stunning. Truthfully, Pahrump sounds like a nickname for middle of nowhere. Yeah, like East Pahrump. That's funny. That's a real place. And oddly enough, the West Coast Transfer Center, the big transfer center on the East Coast is, you have Oklahoma, you have Atlanta. For the feds, there's really only 3 transfer centers. Oklahoma, Atlanta, and Pahrump. So if you're just coming into the system or you're getting shipped from one side of the country to the other, you're always going to go through one of the transfer centers. One's at an airport where you just pull up in Con Air, get right off the plane, and you're already in prison, right? And you stay there until the next plane's going to take you out. Very bizarre. But Pahrump is the West Coast transfer station. So I went through there every single time I went anywhere in the feds. I went through Pahrump. And I was, no joke, like the 6th or 7th inmate to walk through the door when they first opened it. And you knew when you got there, this was not like any other place. The private prison aspect of it made it so foreign. In the feds, the menu is the same in every single prison you go to. Doesn't matter where you're at. On Tuesday, everybody's eating the same garbage. On Wednesday, everybody's eating it, right? There's a nationwide menu, except in Pahrump, right? Because they're not a federal institution. They're a private prison. And it was so friggin' wild west. Like when you've been in the federal system everywhere else and you're getting transferred, you've been someplace where it's a prison. Like you're locked the hell down. Nobody's walking around at night. And you get to Pahrump, and that place, the guards would yell lockdown and the inmates would yell F you. And 2 hours later, man, they were still trying to corral inmates into cells. Right? I remember sitting there thinking, when these guys get to the next spot, this is just going to be comedy. Because in the feds, they hit a button, 40 guys show up, they shoot you with pepper spray, tase you, beat the crap out of you. They'll talk you out of that, I promise. It's a one-shot deal. But that's a private prison, and it is a real name, Pahrump. Pahrump. Well, you know what? I love that. My girl says, I love you guys. So welcoming. That's cool. That's a pretty good crew. I think you know most of them, right? If not, that would really be odd. Hey, Coach Lisa, good to see you. Rose K. So as far as the timeline goes, thank you, Spike. As far as the timeline goes, we're probably looking at 8 months that this is going to be put out. That's not etched in stone. Things change, but I think we're looking at about 8 months. That was the nuttiest background check ever, just to intern at a federal prison. They called my boyfriend's parents to make sure I was who I said I was. That doesn't surprise me. It really doesn't. There is such one bad employee at federal prison will destroy the place in a matter of weeks. I'm not kidding. When I got to Victorville, there was a woman working in, hello, Agnes, Angie, rather, and there was a woman working in laundry, right? And I went in there to get my clothing. You get off wearing a jumpsuit, orange jumpsuit, and then you got to go and trade it out for your yard clothes, the stuff you're actually going to be wearing around. And I walked in there, and usually there's about 9 or 10 inmates. They work there. It's their full-time job. So they're running around cutting stuff and sewing things. And then there'll be one cop, one CO, corrections officer, that sits and sort of runs everything. And that's exactly how it was at Victorville, except the girl that was running the place was like this. I'm not kidding you. I mean, straight, bent over, nodded out. And I'm looking at all of the employees in there, right, who are all inmates, like, hey, what's going on? And the guy's like, yeah, just come down here. I'll help you over here. Like, no one's saying a word about it. Linsanity, what's happening? And when I got down there, it gave me a real dose of how much different the feds were than the state. Because when I got down there, I said to the guy, hey, man, what's the deal with the CO nodding out? He goes, what effing business is it of yours? Like, got right up in my grill. He's like, just leave the woman alone. I said, okay. just curious why she was napping at work. And by the next day, everybody on the yard was talking about it. That was the hook. That was the woman that was bringing the stuff in. Robert Hall, good to see you. Wilfred Harry, what's happening? Hey, love, Mama Bear. But it got so bad and so out of control so fast. Hey, Whacking Hut. That's another. Whacking Hut has an awful lot of to do, or used to have a lot to do anyway, with the halfway house system. A lot of Whacking Hut stuff. The one of the things you will find about the private prisons are about every 2 years they get a name change. Every year and a half, something like that, they get a name change. And the reason is because massive companies, right? These the kind of the low life, I don't know. Yeah, it definitely forces these people to have a vested interest to keep butts in the beds, right? Private prisons are really wide open for that kind of abuse, you know. Also, the halfway house system, especially in the feds, the odds that you end up in a halfway house that isn't owned by one or two agencies that cover all of them, and that whole system was as bad as anything I ever saw. Really, the halfway house system was just, I mean, it was terrible. Lamone's Creations, good to see you. I mean, we got in there. I told the story before, but I got into the halfway house and I'm fresh out of prison and I have a very different attitude for life, right? Dutch Diana, good to see you. A very, very different attitude at this point. Debbie, I just want to do what I do and not get in any trouble. I don't want to do any dope. I want to be left alone, right? And I go up the stairs. It's an old mansion, really, that they turned into a halfway house in Oakland. It's massive. It's got thin little stairways that go up everywhere. It's crazy. But I was staying on the very top floor, right? The attic. So I'm climbing up the stairs doing all this. And when I get to the top, it's one of those things where as the stairs come up, you're sort of at ground level. And there were two guys in the corner, snorting huge, amounts of white powder up their schnoz. And I just thought, you know what? This is not going to work out well for me at all. It just isn't. The Ultrate says, Tommy, I remember when I was a lurker before Q's health was in jeopardy, and you were talking about how you would never rest until you got him out, no matter how long it took. You know what? Yeah. And I still feel that way. This is, I'm excited about this, right? But we still have a really good mountain to climb, right? But yesterday we didn't have a mountain to climb, right? Yesterday we were just sort of cruising around looking for a mountain to climb. Thank you so much, Barbie. Jay Rainbow says, Tommy, is there any kind of petition to sign to help out? You betcha. Yeah, there is. And we've been keeping this powder dry for a really long time. Muppet Lou, good to see you. People have been asking me about this for about 3 years, and I've been saying the same thing. This time I will give you a different answer. And then every other time I've said, stick around, that day is coming, right? That's what my answer has always been. Today, my answer is that day is here. And I am going to put together there's a couple of different ways that we're going to do this so that there's a lot of options that people can take advantage of to send anything that you want to send that can help. We're going to give you some email addresses. There's going to be so many different ways that you can do this, but yes, it's coming and I will get those addresses out to you, I would imagine within the next 3 or 4 days. It's getting real. It's getting real now, and I want them to go in with a Toyota pickup truck to bring all of the nice things that have been said about Q and the ripples that man has created. Angie Barnes, good to see you, because it really is that I'm standing on a ripple that this cat started. I promise. Tommy, how has sentencing evolved for Q's crime? Yeah, well, sadly, he missed one of the great opportunities by literally a couple of weeks. If Q had been just a couple of weeks younger, then he would have fallen into that category of people that got sentenced to life for crimes that they did prior to 18. But that's not how it went down for him. He missed it by a few weeks. So there have been some laws that have been changing to protect young people from ending up in the same situation that he finds himself in. Sadly, whenever there's a law like that, there's got to be a cutoff date. And there's always going to be people that are, 5 days, 6 days, 9 days, whatever, on either side of that cutoff date. And that's painful, but that's kind of where it's at. I know, though, that what they've been working on to get the ineffective use of counsel, they're definitely working hard, and I'm sure the really sort of on the cutting edge Even when I was inside, anytime there was a law that would affect anybody that was doing any kind of an appeal, it gets passed around very, very quickly. And I would imagine that among lawyers who do just what's called post-conviction work, because that's what this is post-conviction work. So yeah, I have I have very, very high hopes and quite a bit of faith in them. Pahrump is outside Las Vegas. Heidi Fleiss was trying to start a male brothel there years ago. I knew her back then, says Jay Rambo. No joke, huh? Yeah, I think, didn't she get it up and running? There was one guy, I think. I remember hearing him on like Howard Stern or something. Kestrel says, Tommy, breaking news, the feds arrested Diddy. Kestrel, you're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. Whoa, this is a great question, Brucey. Hold 1 second. Kestrel, yeah, we announced that right at the beginning, and we're probably going to touch on it here again before the end. He got picked up in New York by the feds, and I promise you people, things are not looking good for Diddy. I would not want to be fighting the federal government with the charges this cat's facing. For real, these are ugly, ugly crimes, man. These are crimes that have really, really long prison sentences. You know, this isn't the kind of stuff that, yeah. Pahrump means water well due to the artesian wells in the valley there. Is that right? My understanding is that they did a lot of nuke testing out there back in the day. For real. There's Spanx Calhoun. The percent that get out and change their lives would probably break your heart, Brucey. And you know what? That is that's the correct answer. Here's the truth. The recidivism rate, especially in the federal system, is terrifyingly large. Sad how big it is. Thank you. You know what? Exactly. Here's the never giving up on the good ones. Because he really is a good one. Sadly, the recidivism rate is through the roof, right? It's close to 80%. And I'm not trying to be a bleeding heart, because I'll tell you what, I fell a bunch of times. And then after I got a decent education, right, in this concept, I was able to stay out. And you know what? I was able to stay out without even burping, right? During the probation period when I was still on paper. I did nothing, right, to upset them. They literally were trying to kick me off paper. I got a call from my probation officer that said, get an attorney and file and we'll kick you off, right? There's no reason for you to still be on paper. Yes, you know what? I did hear Tito Jackson passed away. Yeah, we were talking about Michael last night, and then Tito passed. That's a shame. The Jackson 5 were a big part of my youth. They really were. It's pretty. It was pretty sad. But on the bright side, there's also been some good news. I really am very happy about this Diddy thing. I am honestly, the thing about this guy that is so reprehensible is that when this all comes out, hey, Serena, the number of people that are going to be involved in this, it's going to be so Epstein-like. And yes, please come aboard. It's always better when you're here. This is one of those situations that's going to be Epstein-like, but I think it's going to be really, really, the headlines are going to be better. Sadly. I don't know how else to put this, but the headlines are going to be better. And the reason being, the victims on in this Diddy case, a lot of them you're going to know the names of, right? A lot of the people who are going to have been victimized by this guy are famous. Bacon Bits, Ben, good to see you. For real, that's going to make a lot of people. This is going to be the if this thing ends up going all the way to the box. My guess is this: his attorney has got to be looking for a deal, man. He's got to be saying to his, if you're his attorney, you got to be saying, who can you throw under a bus? And I mean quickly, because you don't have any other play. You're going to turn a bunch of people in, or you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison. I just don't see any other option for that guy, you know? And it's a bummer, because if he goes, all right, no, I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not ratting on anybody. It's not going to get him any points anyway. He's got a really bad set of charges. Angie Barnes says, Tommy, isn't it true some intentionally get themselves arrested just because they are more comfortable in? Yeah, there are. There are absolutely people who are institutionalized. There are people who prefer being on the inside. Sweet Liberty, I would not at all be surprised if he unalived himself, right? Whether or not he does it himself or he really gets the Epstein treatment, I think that that's a high possibility. I really do. I think it is a high possibility. There are way too many people involved in this case, right? Way too many really big name cats that have already been tied to this case. I mean, if this had happened 25 minutes earlier, we'd be talking about this at a spanky little cold out there. I really would have loved to have the opportunity to dive into the laundry list of people that are associated. The feds give them a 5K1. Zarina's been around the block, right? That's exactly what it is. It's called a 5K1, and there are a couple of different 5Ks. There's like a 5K2 or a 5K3. If you were running a charity, right? You did something really fantastic for the world. Hey, Kimmy, you were trying to make the world better. It looked like you were a really good person. Olivia, what's happening? And then you screwed up. Sometimes they will say, he did a lot of really good stuff. Because of what a great guy he was before he became a dirtbag, we're going to drop the sentence by 1 or 2 points because it's a grid system, right? The more common 5K is the 5K1. And the 5K1 is when somebody says for substantial assistance, they're going to give them some time off their sentence. It's turn in 3 and you're free, except it doesn't work like that in the feds. It works like that in the state. In the feds, they don't even tell you can't cut a deal ahead of time. You can't say, well, if I give up this person, and that person, what will you do for me? It doesn't work like that. Honestly, if you look it up, it's brutal. They say you write this letter that's called a Damitol. I can't think of the name of what the letter is called. It starts with a P, but it's a letter that where you tell them everything you can do for them, right? You list every single thing that you can turn over to them, right? The rat that ratted on me did this, right? He filled out all of this crap, and you give them all of this. Then you hand it to them, and they say, "Okay, we can work together." And the person then goes, "Yeah, what do I get? I don't know. We'll figure that out at sentencing and let the judge determine." The guy that rolled on me on the bank case stuff got 4 months off his sentence. 4 months. Isn't that nice? All love to you, Reese, Spanks, Hux, and all of the fur babies in queue. You know what's crazy on KK? Right below you there, that's Chase the Heat. That's Johnny Scoville. You may as well throw him in. That's my brother. Seeing as you had all of the other Scoville clan here. But yeah, Johnny is in the house. Good to see you, my brother. Hope you're doing well. It's a little bit different in the federal system, but yeah, it's he has an opportunity to cut a deal. I don't think there's anything he could do to not go away. I mean, unless he knows where every single body in America is buried. If he knows, here's the thing. The feds used to do some deals you wouldn't believe. And with all due respect, because the guy's got a real big YouTube channel, but Salvatore Gravano got him a pretty good deal, right? Sammy the Bull cut about as good a deal as you're ever going to cut. But it really has kind of changed over the years, and it just does not happen that way anymore. Because he said, I don't testify unless I get, this is the deal I am willing to work for. And then when he went in and started talking, there were a lot of bodies behind that guy, right? 18, 19. Proffer. There you go, L Train. A proffer. That's exactly what it's called. Thank you. That is exactly the word that I was trying to get and could not. I hate it when that happens. But thank you, L Train. When will the book be available? Well, funny that you ask, because we've actually been talking about this. You know what? Yeah, Cox got a sweet deal. Here's the deal. Cox's deal was a little different too. That's a very unusual situation. I assume you're talking about the dude whose show I went on. He got him a hell of a deal. He really did. Lori, Abs, good to see you. I'm glad you're here. I hope you're hanging in there, girl. I really hope you're keeping your chin up. This too shall pass. I promise. Where have you been? Huh? My cat. You realize how late you are? You rotten feline. I was calling her before the show. I was actually looking for her. She had me kind of tripped out. And I found her lying under a bed, all lazy-like. And I chastised her. I said, hey, we're supposed to be at work. What are you doing? West Coast Fancy Nancy, good to see you. And of course, she laid there and looked at me because she's that kind of cat. You just joined chat. Hello, Justine. Welcome to the lifeboat. It's I don't know that I've ever said hello to you, have I? I'm not sure if I have. Well, if I have, you get another one. How's that? Huh? 2 for the price of none. You can't beat it. Yes, V. McWilliams is saying, book release date, please. There has been some talk about I shouldn't say this without. How about if I promise you, I'll tell you tomorrow. I don't want to misquote this and make either of us, either myself or Johnny, look bad. But it's done. It's now really just a matter of the rollout date and some artwork and some other stuff, and that's the end of it. But and my I can't say enough to my brother who I struggled just being a voice helping him out on this. You know what I mean? When there were times I would have to weigh in and talk about things from the past, but this was really, really tough. For me, I can't imagine what it was for him, Oh, okay, Justine. I thought you were a different Justine. The way you said it was like, well, welcome anyway. That's all right. We'll give you a 3-piece. Joanne Palmer, good to see you. The book, oh yeah, be out before Christmas. It will absolutely be out before Christmas. Yes, it'll be out before Thanksgiving. It's more along the lines of, it's considerably sooner than that. I'll tell you that. And then tomorrow I'll actually give you a date. Kathy Ann, good to see you. I'm glad that you're here. You know what, Wharton? I think that would be fun. I'd like to be neighbors with Wharton Fissel. I think I could groove to your sense of humor, my friend. Again, the things that I remember are so odd. Oh, hold on. Look at that. See, this is that high technology stuff, people. Are you seeing this? This is in real time. Don't try this at home. The book will be available in the first 2 weeks of October. There you go. You heard it here. The book will be available in the first 2 weeks of October. You know what, Jay Rambo? There's been some talk about doing a narration of the book. I am not at all against that as an idea. Justine, Q is getting his day in court. Whether or not he's going to get out, there's still some work to be done. But you know what? Well, we got our day in court, and we didn't have that for the last 3 years. We've been trying to just get our foot in the door. And here's the thing: if we fail, it's not like I'm going to go crap and walk away. We're gonna figure out another run and take a different shot. But I'm really hoping that this one is the one. What do? Oh, no way. Cool story. See this? Read that one, folks. Read that one, folks. How cool is that? I love those kind of stories. By both Scovilles? Yeah, there's a opportunity. That was a dopamine dump? Yeah. Yeah, I believe that. I believe that. It's it's almost showtime. Sorry, people. But since she got here late, I figured, we'll show her off a little. Yeah, it is exciting news all around. This has been, like I said, people, this has been a really good day, and it started off as such. You know what I mean? It started off as a good day, and which is why I posted about this morning. Today I really felt a lot more like myself, and that's a good thing. Is the screen blurry to anyone else? Am I blurred out? Barbie Hall, I'll have to clean my camera. Sometimes that happens. If I'm doing that, I apologize. But I do want to say this because as I've said, we've been going through this together. You know what I mean? I've been open and honest about all of the stuff that I've been going through. But I think that shout out to my girl who is. When somebody you care about is going through crap like this, it's really hard on the people that care about you, right? And the more people care about you, the harder it is on them. And I know that this hasn't been a crap load of fun for Reese. And I think that there are a lot of people I can remember from my past that left for a lot less. And I appreciate her. I really do. You know what, L Train? I honestly, I'm pretty excited about the prospect of doing a narration of the book. I think I would enjoy doing that. I do. It's definitely worth looking into. Cup of coffee. Good to see you. You know something, Jason? This may sound. You have not had candy corn until you've had Ohio candy corn. Here's the thing. There's a lot of truth to that. For real. I think I may have laughed about that last year, and then I got some, and it really is incredible. Thank you, Lori Abs. You know what? I'm telling you, this hasn't been easy, but she's been amazing through it, and she's obviously dealing. I mean, it's not like she's been on easy street for 45 years. You know what I mean? She's turning 40 this year, and 38 of those were spent in the cult. So she's got a lot of things she works through all the time as well. And I'm thankful. I really am. I did hear the news about Diddy. If you're just joining us, the artist formerly known as P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Brother Love. Am I missing anything? Dizzle, the Diddler. He has been arrested by the federal government. That's the spirit, Tampa Bay. He was arrested by the federal government in New York. And you know what? I think this is the beginning of the end. I really do. And this is the way stories like this are supposed to end. You understand what I mean by that? Like, for real, I'm not being funny. But this is like your really basic good versus evil kind of stuff. You feel me? And the bad people, right? The people that victimize as a way to get rich and do it for decades, right? If they don't pay the fiddler, then you're left with that unbelievable feeling of you know what? There's no justice on this planet. There's no justice in this world. What world are we living in where people can do the things that this scumbag has done and end up a billionaire for it, right? DJ Spin, good to see you. I'm glad to hear that. I really am. Jamie Smith, and with this guy, he's got some friends, right? There are some very interesting conversations that have been going on since they raided his house. And I think it's fairly safe to say now. Do I think Combs will be in charge in jail? No, I do not. Katie Fulton, good to see you. And I appreciate that. No, I don't think he's going to be in charge in jail at all. I think he will probably spread a lot of money around to the people that are in charge. That would be my assumption with Diddy, is that he can buy an awful lot of safety He is not a part of, he could not be in my car and I couldn't be in his. But the white boys are usually a little tougher to buy, honestly, when it has to do with crimes of things like this. Not being disrespectful in any way, I'm just keeping it real. There's a different kind of a culture, and the selling of people is referred to as pimping, right? And there are cultures that think that that's cool. Inside that, if you're a white guy and you've been arrested for pimping, you're in deep trouble, right? It's not that way if you're a black dude. They very well may treat that dude like he's king. I don't know, but the guy that runs the yard isn't going to let him call shots. I promise. No matter how much money he's got, those boys inside that run the place are real fond of running the place. I mean, they get the, hey Zelda, there's some really, hey Swedish Lena, there's some really sick individuals. These are guys that just sit around and play games of human chess to make people attack each other and do stupid stuff like that. Not all of them. I mean, I've seen some shot callers that were human beings, but the vast majority of them tend to be frightening alpha males, right? Guys that they didn't become yard boss by not beating the crap out of people and being super friggin' aggressive, right? That's kind of how all of them rise to that job. So it's comes with the territory that they tend to be somewhat frightening and a bit of loose cannons. Yeah, so Hope Between the Dreams says, I was in Italy. The summer P blew up and they called him Poof Daddy. That's great. I'm kind of glad that I think, hey, Tommy Bird, I think now that this is all starting to, we're going to see this come out, right? We're going to see a lot more of this. I think the feds probably played this beautifully. I think that when they raided the two houses on both coasts, they did that to stop him from destroying evidence. I've talked about this before on the boat, but when you kick in the door at multiple places at the exact same time, you're trying to stop one place from calling the other place and saying, hey man, you got to start shredding documents. You got to start getting rid of all of the stuff we got on hard drives, all those videos, anything that's backed up. They kick those doors in at the same time for a reason. The other reason, I think, is that it's like kicking a hornet's nest, right? Like all of that crap got on the news, and how many little YouTube channels like mine, right, are talking about this? How many huge YouTube channels, right, are really talking about this? DJ Spin says, I never really cared for him except one or two songs. However, Nas and Notorious B.I.G. is another story. You know, sorry. Hey, Tommy, I asked you to look into some gummies the other day. Yeah, you know what? My name is Sherry, I make bad decisions. I love that name. I was never really a fan of Diddy either. But I'll be honest, I was fairly enthralled by the whole party thing. Like none of us, I think at the time knew what was going on, but he seemed to be doing the kind of things that the Rat Pack used to do, right? Like Sinatra and all of his friends used to all get together and party and go out and, the stories you hear from those days were kind of epic. And I remember being at a place in my life and thinking, holy crap, the guy's kind of trying to put that old Hollywood, type of thing. I had no idea just how foul all of that was, everything that was going on. So I do make bad decisions. Welcome to the boat. So as far as those gummies go, there are absolutely gummies out there that contain psilocybin that get really good reviews from the people that do them. They pack a punch. They're high in dose. It depends on what state you live in, whether or not you can buy these things without having to, going online and buying this. Everywhere I've looked, anybody that wrote reviews, I would say it was 8-1. This stuff was BS and did nothing. And then about every, eighth or ninth, you'd come across one that said, yeah, I bought that and absolutely tripped my nards off. I had visuals, and they describe your basic disassociative. Callie, you may have some love in Callie. Again, you know what? If anybody gets bummed out about this, here's my disclaimer on the fungus thing. I don't know anybody that abuses mushrooms. I don't. It's not a drug that you can abuse the way you can abuse other things. If that is a concept that doesn't make sense to you, let me try to explain it to you real quickly. We take stuff into our bodies that make our body release chemicals that get us wasted in certain instances, right? Far more than in others. When you eat psilocybin, you get a dose of brain chemical that is just freaking overwhelming. But it takes a while for that to build back up. So if you were to do fungus on Monday and then do it again on Tuesday, you would literally have to take about 3 times the dose you took on the first day to get back to the same place. So by day 5, yeah, Franklin says, I used to do mushrooms. Believe me, it's hard to abuse hallucinogenics. The reason is you can't do it day after day. It's very, very difficult. I don't think there's a chance in hell, Zelda. I don't think there's a chance on God's green earth that he doesn't go to prison. If he doesn't go to prison, it's going to be because everybody, and I mean everybody else, is going to go to prison. Correct, DJ Spin. There are people that use fungus. They tend to do it every once in a while. As people get older, they tend to not do stupid things like take a dissociative drug or a trip drug and drive, right? Or take a drug like that and go to concerts. As I find that as people get older, they tend to do stuff. What did you miss about Diddy? I'll catch up real quick on this. Diddy got arrested by the feds today in New York. He is officially handcuffs behind his back going to the House of Many Doors. Spanky. Yeah, depending on, here's the thing. In some states, they're not faked. In some states, they are actual psilocybin. They are extracting psilocybin and putting it into gummies. However, in other states, Spanky's right. It's very much like Delta 8. Right? What they're doing is they're going in and they're stripping chemicals out of things with the use of other chemicals. In other words, they're stripping away your THC, your Delta 9, to get to this other stuff. And the process is often kind of poisonous. Nat B says, had such a bad time on shrooms, was not a good experience. I know people that will say the exact same thing. It is definitely it's definitely one of those things that is wide open, absolutely wide open to the possibility of a very bad experience, just the way it is, because this is a really, really strong drug. It's a commitment. You're going to be going at it for 8 hours. And if things start going bad, it's not like, because of what's going on in your brain with all the chemicals being released into it, it's not one of those situations where normally when it starts going bad, you can kind of, talk me through it, talk me off the edge. With dissociative drugs in general, shrooms being a great example. When it goes wrong quick, and it's real hard to get back to normal. Usually takes about 8 hours. It needs to be done with a whole lot of respect. DJ Spin says, which he deserves with the whole Biggie and Tupac stuff. Never mind everything else. True. A lot of people blame him for the death of both. May this bring a small relief to Diddy's victims. I think that this is going to be the start of bringing some relief to Diddy's victims. I think dismantling this guy's assets and passing them around is probably going to be something that's pretty realistic and in his future. he has, I don't know how many lawsuits currently pending. And the first one allegedly was settled for 30 million. There's another one that he got a default judgment on for 100 million. Okay? There's $130 million this cat needs to spend before he starts doing anything. Yee. Yee. He could end up in prison with not a lot of money left. He really could. I agree with you. I think he had a hand in taking both of those cats off the planet. I think that this is the kind of thing, once again, that if the good guys don't win at some point, if the low lives, human trafficking people, right, videotaping people after they drug them, right, forcing underage people to perform sex acts in clubs, the stuff that this guy's accused of is so foul, right? That if he doesn't get caught, there's your faith in humanity starts getting rocked, especially with everything that has come out in the last. I mean, this last year has been friggin' incredible. If you're a big red button surfer, I mean, tell me this hasn't been fun. Even if you're not into this subject, you've probably seen 20 videos on the Diddy thing. Doing hallucinogens alone is definitely a more personal and powerful experience. I will go on the record and say that I would not do fungus with anybody ever. Those days for me are in the past. If I were to be taking that stuff, it's because I want to tiptoe through the tulips of my mind, which I don't need anybody around for. I don't even want my eyes open. Put a night shield on, play a little some cool background music. You got some Almond Brothers. Is Johnny Scoville still here? You got some Almond Brothers? Go ahead and put it on. He had no limit to what he would be willing to do. It's absolutely disgusting. L Train, you're right. And you know what's really sad? This is a recurring theme, right? This is why people are disgusted with Hollywood and just want to vomit every single time they get together to pat each other on the back and hand out awards. And for 20 seconds, get up and say something about how the earth needs to care more about each other and, blah, blah. And then as soon as it's over, they go back to the set. This is such a disgusting, the entire entertainment industry. But here's what you got to remember, right? If you give, who said it? Power corrupts, right? And absolute power corrupts absolutely. Who said that? Somebody famous said it. I'm pretty sure it wasn't my brother. But the truth is, it's a fact. And when you give somebody the ability to take anybody off the street and make them a rock star, right? That's the promise. They can say to these people, "Oh, look, man, I'm going to make you rich. I'm going to sign a contract today. I'm going to be a millionaire by the end of the week. You're just going to have to do this." And then he records him doing it. And for the rest of the time, the guy's got a career. When you give somebody that kind of, if you give somebody that kind of power, right? He's using the former Epstein private jet, says DJ Spin. Why doesn't that surprise me? It's, I feel like they probably were working for the same people. Sorry. I feel like Diddy was an employee and so was Epstein. And if I were P. Diddy, I'd be scared crapless right about now, right? And not because of the inmates. I'd be afraid that I was going to accidentally unalive myself while I wasn't even aware I was doing it. Kind of like Epstein did, right? Because I'm telling you, people, there are a lot, and I do mean a lot, of people that are wrapped up in this thing. When they talk about the people that went to his parties and, the list of people associated with this guy. What about the Carters? Huh? And a lot of people saying that all of this crazy crap that's been going on, it's not all Diddy, man. The Carters seem to be real into this too. I don't know. Cricket says, my actual doctor is open to me trying shrooms to help with my pain. Ketamine too. He warned me to please don't do those things alone. Well, the ketamine, I would definitely recommend to not do ketamine alone. I think that's a pretty safe. Um, I think that that's personally, and I'm not a doctor, man. I'm a drug addict. But my experience was this. Hey, Stephen, you can really, really go off of the rails on ketamine. And if you do a little too much, they have this very, yeah, I think Sean Carter will be next too. You get this very odd thing they call K-hole, which is like taking a pair of binoculars and turning them around backwards and looking through them. So you get this feeling like you're at the bottom of a well and everything around you kind of goes black except for this little tube kind of a thing. Very, very uncomfortable phenomenon. The first time it happens, it's flipping terrifying. I was terrified the first half a dozen times it happened. I never really grooved to the ketamine thing. I mean, I continued to do it because I was a person that did drugs. If you brought them around me, I was a dumpster. You know, if you had it, I would throw it in me. Mimi Pacheco says, my heart and prayers go out to you, Layla, and your family. Thank you, Mimi. L Train says the K-hole is no joke. And she's right. It really is not. And for that reason, like that's really when you want somebody around. For real. At that moment where you drop into the, and it, for me, it was very much that dropping into it kind of a feeling. First time it happened, I was actually reclining and I looked up and it was just, yeah, you lose all sense of, well, you disassociate, right, from the real that's going on. The reason that fungus has legs anyway, the reason that they want to use this stuff in psychiatry is because it takes away your ego. There's just no getting around that. If anybody who's done a lot of trip drugs can back me up on this. No, nobody pretends to be anything while tripping, right? No one's going to walk up and give you that, that Don Johnson kind of a look from, you can't fake anything, right? That just sort of falls away. And I think from a psychiatry standpoint, that's a bit fascinating, isn't it? They have ketamine infusion centers. There, it's all supervised with people who know what they're doing, which reminds me, I got to call and find out if they take my insurance. I would say, like to anybody, right? I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. Don't play one on YouTube, just a drug addict. But any drug that we decide to take, let's do everything within our power to make sure that we mitigate any chance of anything bad happening. I think Cricket's approach on this is good. If that's a road that you want to go down, I think it's a great opportunity to do it with people around. Yeah, you will definitely be the person that pulls you out of the K-hole is someone that will be your friend forever, to be sure. It's a frightening experience. I thought it was supposed to open previously closed neural pathways. This is something that I have heard as well. I think it sounds an awful lot like a sales pitch. Now, I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. I don't know that they know. You know. You know what, Spike? I think Spike says the Diddy case is very similar to R. Kelly. He was convicted of S trafficking, and this is a slightly different phenomenon for a couple of reasons. There's the similarity of the underage thing, right? There are a crap load of bodies. I'm not kidding, bodies involved in this case. There really are a lot of dead people, and there's a lot of people that are going to start trying to cover their own ass. As I was saying earlier, they kicked the hornet's nest. They raided both coasts, right? They raided the houses. They put it all over the news. Everybody and their brother was talking about it, and they didn't arrest anybody, right? For a long time. So what do you think happened? They started calling one another. They started talking. They started meeting. Everybody started saying, I didn't do this, this, and this. Hey, man, you better not get me hemmed up in all this. And I promise you, the whole time that was going on, people were getting recorded. People were getting followed. I promise you, man, some ugly stuff was happening. Oh, Kirsten Melinda, you know something? Yes, I had a horrific experience on salvia that was very similar to a K-hole experience. I understand what you're saying. Space Diesel says, ketamine has helped me big time. Not recreational use. It was used in a very controlled environment by a seasoned shaman. Fantastic, man. There are people for whom this seems to be a magic bullet. It really does. There are people for whom this is a little bit overwhelming. Olivia, tunnels, it's kind of what it feels like, right? It really feels like you are at the bottom of a well looking up. It's a very, very uncomfortable feeling. Mary Barons, good to see you. You know, Tommy Bird, here's the thing. This is a very, very serious subject. And I'm glad that that there are a lot of voices of reason here. First of all, I'm glad that we can have this conversation without people crapping all over each other if they come down on either side of this equation. I think Tommy Bird makes a great point. I absolutely, I absolutely believe that for large amounts of people, this is a very, very it's an interesting and a safe way for them to explore possibilities to work on some tough stuff, right? For real. And I think it's done wonders for some people that have been coming back with PTSD from overseas. We've seen some great stuff coming out of some studies, really good stuff. However, there are people for whom this is a nightmare. They go in and don't have a very good time, right? There have been many reports of people that have had some tough experiences with this. They've not all been coming up roses, and it's just I'm keeping it real, right? Now, it's that way with a lot of the different dissociative drugs that they're using, MDMA, right? However, the one personally as a drug addict, the one that I would be the most frightened of anybody that I cared about getting into would be ketamine. And the reason is of all of the dissociative drugs, that was the one that I seemed to be able to abuse the most consistently. MDMA being second. In other words, I could get high on that stuff 6 days a week, right? Which I sure as crap couldn't do with fungus. Oh, no, you woke up during your wisdom tooth removal. That is one of the hardest things I've ever heard anyone say. Mimi Pacheco, I am so sorry. Hey, Ray, anesthesia awareness, the idea that you could be awake. I have bad dreams about this crap. I'm not kidding you, man. Like I'm honestly right now, I feel like my palms are starting to sweat. Let's say I got a chilling count to 10 because that's literally rocking my world. The concept of waking up during anesthesia is the scariest thing in the world. It really is, man. Really, really terrible. Tampa B, I couldn't be happier for you. God, it happened to Shannon Smith too. Honestly, and I will say this: I hear more people say what you say than say the other, than have a bad experience. You feel me? For real. The way more people are reporting that this is a great thing than are people going the other way. But I'd kind of be you know what, if I don't, tell you what I'm hearing. Yeah, no judgment, L Train. No judgment at all. If it's working for people, I think that's fantastic. But I think that like anything else, this is and hear me for real. Hear me, right? There are parts of our lives because of our specific diseases with a lot of us where maybe we're not. We have some challenges that make our lives a little bit tougher than others. Yeah, we really do. However, I will say this: the vast majority of us have a pretty decent handle on the drug game, right? We understand what this stuff does to people more than anybody else. All of the geniuses out there that have managed to stay clean don't have any idea just how bad this stuff really is. Am I right? Okay. Then anything you do You better go into it with a kind of respect of a person who realizes just how dangerous drugs are. You can't get this crap on the street. You can't do dope you get on the street anymore. You can't. It's not safe, right? If you're going to do any of these things, you got to do them in a doctor's office, right? But in anything that you do where you're going to be altering your brain chemistry, give it a hell of a lot of respect, right? Have we learned nothing? Please put a hell of a lot of respect into it. MCT oil and black seed oil and some supplements too. Nice. I had a really tough and emotional as you know what morning. And then as I was leaving, OC, nice. Always good. Heather MacArthur, you woke up. Every single person here woke up during surgery. I gotta be the only person on the boat that hasn't. And I've had a bunch of surgeries. I have been blessed to beat hell. And amusing. Good to see you. Yeah, you're good. You're good. Jill Judd, how are you? Vixen, good to see you. Glad you're here. All right, so a little recap. Sean P. Diddy Puffy Combs has been arrested in New York. Buckwheat. Sorry. Sean Combs has been arrested in New York. He has been arrested by the federal government, which is a really different ball game than a state crime. Thank you, Kestrel. I guess you and I did. This is going to be a very tough road for Diddy to hoe. The reasons that I find this to be a little bit different than some of the other cases out there is that this spans decades. There are a entire Cadillac SUV full of bodies on this, and I don't mean that theoretically. I mean literally. Right? There's a lot of dead folk tied to this cat. Right? Grips of them, and I think that the chickens are coming home to roost. There's a lot of people, and this happens anytime you get a big conspiracy. Guess what? He couldn't have pulled all this off on his own. You understand that? In every one of these kind of things where you got a low life like that, there are low lives who work for him to make things happen. And those low lives have been getting drilled over in interrogation rooms since they kicked those doors in. Believe that. And they've all been cutting deals because Diddy might not be able to avoid prison time, but there are a bunch of other people that are going to avoid prison time because they're going to drop a dime on him as quick as you could say, he did it, right? For real. The snitching Wesson, right? Him. The 9 telemeter. You guys are familiar with these things? Yeah. All bad. All bad. The snitch blade. Her. Yep, it's coming. I promise you. There's going to be a lot of people that do not care much about doing the right thing. Heather MacArthur says, I scared the crap out of the nurse when I opened my eyes and looked at her. I bet. Yep, I absolutely bet. Would have scared me more. Yeah, I'm so trust me when I tell you. Potential spam call. Should we see if we can hustle this one? I'm always hold on. For real. Hello. This is. No. Yeah, no. Thank you though. Yeah. Well, that was odd. I thought if it was fun, I would have put it on speakerphone. I did that once before. We got through an entire call. I tried to talk the person into changing their phone service. I don't know if anybody here was there for that show. It's a pretty good one. It was pretty funny. Yeah, he's going to people. I cannot wait to see the laundry list of charges against Mr. Combs. They took a lot of heavy artillery out of his house, right? There could be weapons stuff in here. There's going to be so many. Oh man, honestly, and I'll tell you something. This is something that that the feds don't always give people paper. I mean, there are times they just say, you're not getting out. I don't care how much money you got. We're not going to give you bail. We just don't do that. You're just going to have to sit in jail until it's time for you to go to court. I never even got a bail hearing. How's that? And look, the first one, I was running and gunning. I was off in the weeds. But on the second time that the feds hauled me in, I was married to an officer of the court. Right? I owned my own home. I had been living in the same city for 15 years. I had family in that town, and they wouldn't even hear it. They didn't even want to hear the case. We were ready to put the house up and all that. No, I would not be surprised if they try to keep him in. Had my psych appointment yesterday and was calm outside. So set up a tripod and pillow outside. Was peak hour. 5 cars went in 1.5 hours. Yeah, I don't exactly. I think I'm lost on that. But let me see again. I had my psych appointment yesterday and it was calm outside. So set up a tripod and pillow outside. It was peak hour. 5 cars went by in 1.5 hours. Went past. There you go. So it was just completely done, dead. No. Thank you, by the way, and the music. Do you see this? How can this be possible? Do you guys go to Walmart for your anesthesia? Like, who's pushing the gas at these freaking surgeries, man? Justine, I have been waiting for this arrest. Yep. I wish this could be on TV, but it's federal, so it won't be. No, you're not going to see this on TV. However, people like me are going to have an opportunity to sit in that courtroom. And I promise you, the entire gallery are going to be people that are going to be trying to go live as soon as it's over to tell people exactly what happens. It's going to be, this is going to be a hell of a case. Yeah, 6.5 hours, Kestrel was out. The longest surgery that I ever had, I think, was 5 hours. I think that was the longest surgery I ever had. And the funny thing is, they told me 45 minutes. In and out, no problem. It'll be 45 minutes. And nope. 5 hours later, I was like, what the hell happened? He goes, I lost a screw. He was doing something in my hands. There is so much blackmail tapes and trophies. It's sort of a mutually assured destruction. So I think they will get him for all the technical isolated stuff that keeps his people in the crosshairs. Interesting. And I think there's probably something to that, Avina. Yeah, I think that's. I absolutely am looking forward to doing a show on this. I phoned Q's mother the second that I got a call from the attorney, Shannon Smith, and I did not get her on the phone. I did leave a message. She phoned back later in the afternoon and was over the moon. She was really, really happy. And to finish my story, when I did get him on the phone, I said, hey, I had a great call. And he said, what's up? And I said, as it turns out, they're going to give you a shot back in at ineffective counsel. And there was a really long pause. And he used some colorful language to ask me if I was being serious or not. And I said, yes, I am absolutely being serious. And he said, oh, man, that is incredible. And I said, yeah, you remember when you told me what a bad idea this was? I had to do it, people. I had to do it. I had to rub that thing in just a little bit. I said, you remember, this was my idea. You said, this isn't going to go anywhere. So I'm sorry. So we're going to take ones and we're going to one this right over the top. I was talking to Risa about this earlier. They said, I'm looking forward to the day, people, where I, about 15, 20 minutes into the show, I say, here you go. This is my friend Q, and I'll let him have a seat here, and I'll walk away and go watch him and listen to him. This cat was born for YouTube. I promise you, nothing excites me more than the prospect of him coming out and having the ability to put up some content. I'm not woofing you. I think that would be one of the all-time coolest things that could ever happen. All right, people. T-Frog, good to see you. That's it, folks. I am off, but I will be back tomorrow. I do want to say that I appreciate everybody's sticking with me in good times and bad. Shows are fun when they're like this. When I'm not having a great day, you all showing up and treating me the exact same way is pretty damn cool. I mean that. It's probably a bigger deal than I can put into words. But I love you guys, and I will be back tomorrow. Between now and then, reach out and try to save somebody. And this right here, that is a cat in a basket. What a great cat in a basket, too. She's the best. She's the best. More squirrel videos are coming, people. All right. Adios.